Jor's hands gripped the armrests of his chair as the distance closed. He surged forward, engines straining under the sudden burst of power. The Phantom loomed large before him, its dark hull resembling a void in the stars. Every muscle tensed. This was it. He would take down at least one of these monsters before his ship was torn apart. Impact in 10 seconds, an officer called out, his voice shaking. Jor nodded, locking his gaze on the enemy ship, thoughts narrowing to a single focus, one final act of defiance. All weapons, fire at will. Let them feel our fury. The cruiser unleashed its last volley, missiles and energy beams streaking toward the Phantom. The human dreadnought responded almost lazily, its shields absorbing the fire with ease. As Jor's ship closed in, a sudden flash of light blinded the crew, jolting the ship violently. When the light faded, Jor blinked, disoriented. "We've been disabled," an officer stammered. "They didn't even destroy us, they just stopped us." Fury boiled inside Jor as another transmission from Captain Hargrove crackled through. "We've neutralized your ship's systems. You won't survive a full attack. This is your last chance. Surrender now or die in the void." For a moment, the bridge was silent as Jor's officers stared at him, waiting for an order. His claws tapped the armrest, the metallic sound echoing through the quiet. Surrender to humans? Jor had fought in countless battles, leading fleets against the fiercest enemies in the galaxy, but this was different. Humanity wasn't just another adversary, they had evolved beyond anything the Federation had anticipated. His mind raced, searching for options, but every scenario ended the same way. The humans had already won. He exhaled slowly, standing from his chair. "All ships, stand down." On board the Phantom, Captain Hargrove watched as the last of the Federation ships powered down. He leaned back in his command chair, hands steepled before him. "Bring the prisoners aboard," he ordered. One of his officers nodded, issuing commands to the fleet. Hargrove stared at the view before him, debris and shattered Federation ships scattered across the stars. It had been a clean victory, but not without purpose. "Do you think they'll retaliate?" one of his bridge crew asked quietly. Hargrove didn't respond immediately, his eyes narrowing as he considered the question. The Federation had been caught off guard, their arrogance shattered by humanity's sudden rise. "They will try," Hargrove replied finally. "But it won't matter. They've lost the will to fight." Days passed, and reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The Phantom's display of power had sent shockwaves through the Federation. Worlds once under their control began to sway, considering their allegiance. Once strong alliances weakened, distrust spreading like a virus among the leaders. The fear of humanity's technology and ruthlessness instilled a new sense of urgency. They were no longer the only power in the galaxy. Back in the council chamber, Councillor Virek surveyed the scene. The room was filled with murmurs of concern and discontent. "This cannot continue," one councillor exclaimed. "We must unite against them." Virek raised a hand, silencing the room. "It's too late for that. We cannot fight them head-on. They have proven themselves a superior force. Our strategies must change." A different voice spoke up from the shadows, a figure draped in a cloak, hidden beneath a hood. "We must learn from them, then." The counselors turned to the figure, curiosity piqued. "If we can understand their technology, perhaps we can turn the tide." Virek narrowed his eyes. "You speak of infiltration?" Espionage? The figure nodded slowly. Exactly. We can't beat them with brute force, but knowledge is a weapon too. If we gather intel, perhaps we can sabotage their operations from within. The counselors exchanged glances, the notion gaining traction. This could be our only chance, Virek agreed reluctantly. But it will require trust, something that has been lost. Days turned to weeks as the Galactic Council deliberated, planning their next move against the humans. Meanwhile, Captain Hargrove monitored the aftermath of their victory, aware of the changes rippling through the galaxy. He knew the Federation would retaliate, but he also understood that fear was a powerful motivator. The humans were no longer the underdogs, they were predators in a galaxy full of prey. Their victories inspired others. Ships were built in hidden corners of the galaxy, and whispers of a new human alliance began to form. It was a fragile peace, but it was one that Hargrove intended to nurture. In a distant corner of the galaxy, a young engineer named Lila worked tirelessly in a secret shipyard, her hands stained with grease as she pieced together the next generation of ships. Her dreams had shifted, no longer about exploring the stars, but about defending her home from the looming threat of humanity. The irony was not lost on her. She once admired the Federation, but now she was determined to reclaim that legacy for her people. Weeks passed, and tensions mounted as both sides prepared for the inevitable clash. The Federation, shaken but not defeated, began to regroup, determined to reclaim their dominance. Hargrove, aware of the brewing storm, planned to strike first. He would not give them the chance to recover. In the quiet of his cabin, he stared at the vastness of space, contemplating the delicate balance of power. "It's time to remind them who they are dealing with," he whispered to himself. The war was far from over, and the human resolve had only just begun to be tested.